On this episode of the Who Is This podcast, brought to you by Sierra Pacific Mortgage and Double R Communications, Davis and I had a great conversation with Nate Sorensen from Sorenson Financial. Nate is a Gila Valley native. He's been here for a long time. Everybody knows Nate. If you don't know Nate, you should definitely get to know him. He's a great guy. He's a fun guy, and we really enjoyed the conversation. We talked about a lot of different things, kind of how he got Sorenson Financial, and then just talked about what he does over there, talked about his team and all the things that they can help and provide to the community. And yeah, even touched a little bit on the new big beautiful bill and how that's affecting things. Didn't get too deep into that, but we might do a follow-up podcast about that. But yeah, it was a great conversation, and we hope you enjoy. I need to decorate my office still. I think that might be my least favorite part about switching offices is redecorating.
Call my wife. She did our whole office. Have you been to our new office?
No, but I've seen pictures and it looks freaking awesome.
Yeah, I haven't even downloaded this. We have the golf simulator. I haven't even downloaded the software yet.
You have it in your office?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He's who inspired me, dude.
Oh shoot!
We
come check it out.
We have an empty room right now, and we're like, it'd be so fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting to the place now where I'm like, I haven't even downloaded the software, so I might get rid of it at some point because it's 9 feet tall by 12 feet wide.
Is it all set up in your office and everything?
Yeah.
Like it's
there. I just haven't downloaded the software, and then you have to put these tags, like reflective things on your clubs, and there's a laser that reads your club face.
Mm-hmm.
But my 12-year-old has gotten so big so fast that I gave him a whole set of my last clubs. And so now I don't have clubs to put in there because I don't want to put my nice clubs in there.
Yeah.
So
me and you and Marky and Kyson need to go do a golf challenge or something sometime.
that'd be pretty fun.
Do a scramble or something.
Dude, hey,
You'd probably kill
feel
us.
so very rude right now. Do you care if I answer this real quick?
He does this all the time, dude.
Hey, what's up, Angel? Good. What's going on?
Yeah, just step out and we'll just keep talking.
People are always shocked when they find out that I don't keep score, though.
Why don't you? Just because?
So I used
Pull that a little closer to your yeah.
So I used to golf a lot with my older brother, and we were always I was super competitive to the point where I was taking private lessons and all these things behind the scenes so I could
You
beat
didn't
him.
know about it?
Yeah, so it was going to be the first time in my life that I could beat him at something outside of academics. And so I show up and I'm smoking him, out driving him. I mean, I'm way ahead, and all of a sudden I realize that every time I make something or do anything, he's clapping and cheering and dancing around the tee box and oh, just so supportive. And then I look over and he wasn't even keeping score. Didn't even care. And he passed away back in 2012. And after I saw that on the course, we already knew he had cancer, and I realized he was just there to be with me. And I haven't kept score since.
Yeah.
I don't want my competitiveness to ruin my chance to just
have a good time.
Be happy. And so usually I just go with my 12-year-old because it's a good time to hang out with them.
Yeah.
But when I go golfing with friends or colleagues and they realize that I'm not keeping score, or I'm there in flip-flops, it's literally just for me to not be in my office.
Yeah.
But it is funny. Sometimes I'll get asked to go golfing with guys, and then it's 2 hours of tax questions.
Yeah. That's what you're here to not think about that.
So I give them fake news. I make up stuff. I'm just kidding.
I don't think you are.
That would be funny, though.
No, that would be funny.
I made stuff up. But yeah, we should go sometime. But
we don't have to keep score. We can go and just have fun.
I'm worried that my wife's decorating my office. I've started this new old man hobby of collecting golf clubs from the 1800s, the hickory shafts and stuff. And so my wife's going to mount them on the wall in my office.
Nice.
And then we got the golf simulator in there, and I'm worried that people are going to think that I'm good at golf.
Because you have golf all over.
I'm awful. I will go through a sleeve of balls And sometimes when it's really bad, I don't even look for the ball. I just like move on with life. There's a ton of Pro V1s just sitting all over Mount Graham golf course.
Yeah.
So.
Does Mark like to keep score? Like, is he the same way?
He probably would.
Yeah.
But for right now, I'm just trying to keep him in a place where he's spending time with me. And you know, we're talking about whatever weird electric motorcycles he wants to talk about, or video games, or, you know, because it goes so fast. But for Father's Day, he bought us matching polo shirts. Nice. So if you ever see us out there together, we're wearing matching polo shirts. And so I'm just trying to like make that last as long as possible.
Yeah. I've taken Kyson a few times, and he has a lot of fun. I should take him more, but that kid's so busy doing all the other things that he's doing. And we only have him 50% of the time too. So it's hard to find time, but it's a lot of fun getting out there with him.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be better than me in like a year or so. That's just fine.
Yeah.
But,
I went this morning and lost
really
$20.
To who?
Jay Selkins and McKay Kempton.
Oh, you must be awful then.
What did you guys play?
Yes.
Like per hole or per stroke or what?
No, $10 a cart, and Tom was my partner.
That's the problem.
Gotcha.
Tom is an avid listener to this podcast, so you'll be receiving a phone call.
How come Tom hasn't come on yet? Have we asked him?
Tom, we'll have him on sometime.
Tom would be a good time, but
I think it was Tom once that was on a tee box and he hit, and it was awful. I mean, like, I'm not great, but I was in the right place at the right time, and I saw him hit that horrible shot, and so I start yelling stuff from the other side, just like, you know, just to rub it in that more than 3 people saw what he just did. You should give up while you're ahead.
Put him away.
Yeah.
Right on.
Tom's a good dude.
Well, awesome. So this is the podcast, man. This is all it is. I mean, welcome Nate to the podcast, but
I'm nervous to ask him 2 hours of tax questions.
I don't. I mean,
I'm just kidding.
I'm sure we can talk about that, but I'm more curious about every time I talk to you, I feel like I learned something else you have going on. Like you do a lot of different things that you don't really have to advertise, I guess. It seems like as far as like your investment properties, and I didn't know that you own storage units until you just listed that those are for sale. But no, the purpose of the podcast is more just to kind of get to know you and tell. Obviously, Sorenson Financial is your big one, you know. So obviously, we want to hear about that story and kind of how you got into doing taxes and how you got into doing your own thing. I mean, because obviously, just because you're a tax professional, I don't think every tax professional has their own office like you do. So, but yeah, just whatever you'd be willing to share with us as far as your background and how all that came to be.
Sure. So, there I was. No, so when I was in college, I studied everything. Like, I studied psychology, thinking that I wanted to, you know, I've always just really loved being with people and helping people. And so I'm like, yeah, maybe I can like be a counselor, a therapist or something. And then in our psychology class one day, they were talking about Sigmund Freud, and he had this thing like, if you've had this dream, that means you're attracted to your mother. And I legit had that dream like 2 days before, and I'm like, that's stupid. And like, I've always
I want to know what the dream was.
I don't even remember, but I remember just being like, that doesn't even make sense. Like it was the weirdest. And I've always had problems with theory, you know, like where if it's just some dude that thought that this is how it is, and all these other people are like, yeah, you know, that could be right. Who knows?
Yeah, it comes up with a compelling argument to where
Yeah, and then I took some political science classes, thinking maybe I'll go to law school, and then I realized that like law is subjective. Like, you know, if O.J. Simpson could get off, like,
I think we need to update the. I think we need to update. It's not O.J. Simpson now.
Diddy?
If Diddy could get off, yeah,
if we could get off on some of that stuff,
yeah.
But from what it sounds like, he got off on a lot of stuff. Hey-o.
Hey-o.
Sorry.
Definitely got
Back
off.
to accounting.
Anyways.
Anyways, so like I've always just struggled with, like maybe that's right. And then I took an accounting class, and it was either right or it's wrong. And that spoke to me. But I've always loved business. I used to work for Danny Smith at Gila Outdoor back in the day, and he's the one that kind of first got that bug of being in business, in the back of my mind. I've always looked up to Danny Smith.
Danny's a cool guy.
Oh man, like he's been such a good friend, such a good mentor to me. And so I always looked up to him. And so I just started down that path, and it was just really cool for me to go from all these schools of thought that are strictly theory, like political science, psychology, and then all of a sudden it's either right or it's wrong. It's either in balance or out of balance. And there's rules, and that works well for me. And so I just went through with my accounting degree, worked for a major CPA firm in downtown Phoenix for a long time. And then in 2012, my older brother passed away, and I just really wanted to be home, close to my parents and family. And so Freeport hired me, moved us down here, worked with Freeport for about, I don't know, maybe 5 years or so. And it was great. Like, it was a cool job. Loved the people there, but I was bored out of my mind. I could go a whole day without speaking to anyone. I could get my job done in like an hour or two each day, and then I was just sitting there. But what really got my wheels turning is my wife's grandmother, Brenda Alder, who I think she's the coolest. She grabbed me one day at family dinner, and she told me that I was wasting my talents by working at Freeport. And that kind of hurt my feelings a little bit, because I was providing for my family and I was doing well, but she was dead right. Like, I was wasting my talents. I just love taking care of people. I love helping people. I love learning. And then in 2018, Wayne Layton, who's incredible, he was going to be selling his CPA firm, and he and I spoke, and he made it happen. He was very generous, allowed me to buy his firm, really mentored me, helped me, get going. So I was able to come back to public accounting from Freeport and get back to where I really felt comfortable. And it's been awesome ever since.
Were you working at Freeport up until 2018?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I think you've done such a good job with Sorenson Financial and advertising. I mean, I feel like it's just been around for a really long time. I mean, 2018 is only 7 years ago. I guess that is longer than it seems when you actually think about it. But I thought you'd been doing that for a lot longer than that.
Yeah. I bought it in September 4th of 2018. And it's been such a cool experience, whenever things go bad for people, whenever something happens, like loved ones die or something, like, we are the people that they come to see. And that's such an honor to be able to help out on that end.
So explain that a little bit. Why would they come and see you?
So I'm a certified public accountant. So there's really only 3 practicing CPAs in town. But I'm also a certified financial planner, and I'm the only dual CPA, CFP between here and Tucson. And so I think that kind of puts me in a unique position to where I can advise on the taxation side, but I can also advise on the estate planning side. We manage money for clients. We do all their investments. And so it kind of gives me some extra tools, I think. And just from my past experience, like, I've dealt with death and hard things with clients for a long time. And so it's really humbling when someone comes to us, even if they weren't our clients before something hit the fan.
Mm-hmm.
But when they call and they know that we're the place. And so there's the ladies in my office always joke that there's either like tears or laughter coming out of my office. And it's true. Like, the number of tears that have been shed in my office are surprising.
Yeah.
But like, we would run through walls for our clients. And so it's just really humbling to be able to be that guy that can help people. So also make them laugh at the same time.
Yeah.
That is surprising because I wouldn't think of an accountant to be such an emotional place, but like now my wheels are turning. I'm like, yeah, I guess so.
And I mean, you mentioned earlier you're wanting to do like counseling and stuff like that. So you're doing that with what you're doing still. It's just a different type, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We even get calls from religious leaders that have members that are having financial problems and that might be affecting their marriage or whatever. And so they come in to see me. And so I always start out those conversations like, hey, first of all, I'm not the spiritual. I was like, and I tell them what I know and help them however we can. So
yeah,
I think we do a pretty good job.
That's awesome.
And our team, like Wayne Layton, he sold me the firm and went to work for the college. And I think he just missed kind of like how I did, like being in it with people. And so he works there at the office full time, and he's incredible. He's one of the best CPAs I've ever worked with. And then we have Misty Conrad. She's our accounting director, and I think she's the best in the Valley at what she does. She's our accounting director. She, watches over all of our bookkeeping, accounting functions.
Who's Misty's husband?
Ryan Conrad.
That's what I thought. Okay, I just was making sure I was putting the Conrads together correctly.
Yeah, but she's the best in town. I mean, she's so good that I let her do my books. But I mean, I trust Misty 100%.
Yeah.
And she's incredible. Our whole team's awesome, from admin to accounting, and then on the finance side, so we have Sorenson.
Misty is the accountant for the accountant.
She's your accountant.
Yeah. I'm the idea guy.
Yeah.
I'm the eye candy of Sorenson Financial. Yeah. And then, so we have Sorenson Financial, and that's our tax accounting function. And then we also have Insight Wealth Management. That's our financial planning side. And we try and keep them separate. We use everything separate. We use separate document storage. Like, we just try and segregate that as much as possible to protect people's information. And but we have Insight Wealth Management. Our other financial advisor is Sydney Johnson. She's from Thatcher, and she's brilliant. She's way smarter than I am, which helps. She's incredible. So, but between the two sides, man, we can really do a lot for people.
Do they kind of work hand in hand as far as an overall financial picture?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Because we can do the tax planning on one side, and we understand how all that flows, but then that bleeds into the financial planning side, and so that helps us when we talk about like retirement withdrawals, taxable accounts, like how are we going to minimize tax burden, tax planning, just everything just kind of meshes together. So it works out pretty well.
That had to have been a pretty big change. I mean, going from Freeport, where you're an employee and you just showing up, doing your work and leaving. I mean, what struggles did you have, opening up your own office?
And so I think I kind of got used to being super slow at Freeport, like not having a lot to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, when I first bought the firm, I put a couch in there. I'm like, man, I'm going to be taking naps all the time. This is going to be awesome. And I have taken 0 naps in there, unless it's like on a late at night and I don't feel like driving home. I'll just take a nap and then wake up and work the next morning or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was just the schedule, because Freeport I could work and then I go home and I don't think about Freeport. But this, like, I go home and I think about clients at night. I think about, what could go wrong in their lives, what could go like, and so it's just a whole different thing.
Yeah.
I think we can relate to that quite a bit. That's but before I was working at Verizon and I could leave work and at work, and now it's like I'm constantly thinking about, okay,
have to leave in the middle of podcasts.
How can we make this work?
Yeah. Oh, especially service-based industries, like, because if the service isn't there, then why are people going to come back, And with you guys, it's so time sensitive, a lot of things that they're trying to do. And so, yeah, I get it. It's, you go on vacation, but you're not on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
We just went to North Carolina last week, and the whole time I'm like, responding to emails, even though I have an out of office. I'm still worried about the market, still worried about this, and so it's kind of hard to be present. So I think that's probably the biggest adjustment, is to find ways to be present with my family, so I'm not constantly working.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that I mean your job obviously is a lot like ours, where sometimes I feel like people care more about their money than their own like lives and safeties, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like they would be more grumpy about something changing them for them negatively regarding their finances
Than even their health.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
easily. And it's one of those things where there's so much psychology behind finance.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. I love learning about that stuff, because I have some people that just are terrified of finances, to the point to where they will not file their tax returns for years. And I almost have to like hold their hand and be like, I mean, do you want to go to prison? Like, this is
Right.
important stuff. So we try to be sensitive with that stuff, just because I do understand how powerful the financial psychology side of it is. But yeah, people and their money, you do not want to mess with that. And I should have thought about that before I chose this career, I guess.
Yeah, it's I mean, I've had my own fair share of experiences of people just being super upset because something just didn't work out how they thought that it should have. And, you know, we can only control those things so much. So a lot of it is just kind of curbing expectations and things like that. But yeah, it's finances you don't want to mess with. I'd say most people are usually fairly laid back, but there's definitely those that can get triggered by it pretty easily.
Yeah, and managing money for people, that adds a whole new level to that. You know, like if I'm managing all of your retirement, like what you're hoping to live off of, like that's something that we don't take lightly.
Yeah.
And so to be able to understand what's going on in the market, why is your money down? You know, some people can't even think of losing anything, and for those people we have to do something completely different. But same thing, we have to understand where they're coming from, you know, because if someone that's very conservative is in an account that's really aggressive, and say they lose 20%, like they're gonna burn my office down.
Right.
And so we have to be real careful.
6 months ago or 8 months ago.
Well, even just 3 months ago, we had when President Trump was throwing out all the tariffs, the big tariff stuff, and everything just went south quick.
Yeah.
And then he sent out that tweet, you know, it's a good time to be in the market, and then all of a sudden the market shoot up.
Yeah.
And so we have to watch what President Trump says really close, because that dude loves to
he's a loose cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then in 2022, that was normally when we have clients that are conservative, we'll invest them in bonds and things like that. And 2022, for those types of conservative investments, it was one of the worst years for that type of investment since like the 1700s, like 1780 or something like that.
Whoa.
Just because all these things happen right at the right time, to where those investments that are usually safe, they were losing a ton of money, and they don't bounce back like a stock does. And so that was a hard year for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So.
Since the tariffs thing, I don't follow the market that closely. Has it pretty much bounced back since then, or is it still down overall?
Yeah, we bounced back. We've been hitting new all-time highs regularly. But it's kind of a weird place right now. Like, I don't know, all this AI stuff that everyone's so pumped about. Like, if you were invested in companies related to AI, you've killed it over the last couple years. And it's just, I don't know, it's hard to say. And so really, as advisors, planners really, we're not out trying to catch the next biggest stock. We're not out trying to
You're playing the long game, right?
We're trying to allocate an account that will make you money over the long term, but that will minimize your losses on the downside, and but also make sure your family's protected. Make sure that we're watching out for any of the what ifs that could hit, and then just being there and being ready for when those things happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
when you purchased the firm from Wayne, I mean, you got all of the client, like you didn't have to worry about going out and obviously you wanted to grow and find new clients,
Right.
but you got his book of business as well, right?
Yeah. So we bought out his firm. Wayne bought his firm from a CPA named Kirk Gray, who's also great. Just such an awesome guy. In fact, Kirk and his wife help us out during our busy times. His wife is a tremendous accountant, and she helps us do bookkeeping. And then Kirk helps review tax returns for me when we get real busy, and he just shows up and cranks out returns. And so Wayne bought the firm from Kirk, and it's almost like a brotherhood of sorts. You know, like Wayne wanted to sell to me because he trusted me, and he knew that I wasn't gonna,
Run it into the ground.
The ground, or like turn around and, I have friends that have CPA firms, and they're charging triple what we charge for just a basic return. And that's the market, but Wayne knew that I wasn't going to step in and do that because, I have some sweet clients that are still paying the same price that they were paying back in 2018 because that's what they can afford. I have one client that is amazing. She makes the best cookies, and she trades out tax returns for chocolate chip cookies.
That's awesome.
She saw me and she's like, that's an easy trade. That guys love cookies. And they're some of the best cookies I've ever had, but she shows up like every few months with a bag of chocolate chip cookies for me, and she's pretty terrific. But yeah, so I bought Wayne's client, and when we bought the firm, he sent out a letter introducing me to people, and just to let them know how much confidence he has in me, even though I probably didn't have enough confidence in myself at the time. But he made sure that he would show up, and he'd come help when I had questions, because you get 15 years with these people and you know everything about them. And I remember thinking how crazy it was that Wayne could like remember all these things about all their lives. Mm-hmm. But now I am 7 years into it, and like I know all this stuff about everything.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, we touched on how emotional or how important and sensitive it can be with finances. And so, yeah, someone's been with the same financial person for 15 years, and then all of a sudden they're like, here's Nate.
Here's this dude.
Yeah. So yeah, that would make me nervous, if I didn't know who you were.
Yeah. And I am just so grateful for clients that had enough faith in Wayne that they would stick with us. Mm-hmm. Just so grateful. And now that we've got to meet all of them, like, then they're still here. They trust us. Like, we would do anything for them if we could. So it's been really neat. And then now Wayne's back, and so when they find out that Wayne's there, like it's pretty fun when they see him in the hallway, or when they walk by and there's Kirk Gray behind the desk waving. And
yeah.
But Kirk still remembers stuff about his clients. There's been a lot of activity lately where we brought Kirk in, and he's like, oh yeah, well when they started this back in like 2000, this we did it because of this, and this, and he still remembers all of that.
Wow,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
What are, like, besides taxes, like what's the main day-to-day business that Sorenson Financial do?
So we have a pretty good sized staff, and their day-to-day is different than mine. So we do a lot of bookkeeping for clients. Mm-hmm. We do payroll, we do sales tax. And so their day-to-day is mostly doing that kind of stuff, preparing tax returns, things like that. My day-to-day is like meeting with new clients, having consulting meetings with clients, reviewing the work that my staff does, phone calls, and then administrative stuff. And so I try my best to at least try and like portion it out to where I'm hitting stuff. And like my office manager, Lisa, is really good for me because, I mean, I'm all over the place. And she's really good about, she and Tanya at our front desk, they're really good at letting me know like what's up, like what needs to be done today, what's been sitting too long, what's this. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot. Every day's different. And I think that's what actually got me into public accounting in the first place. One of my university instructors talked about the reason why he enjoyed public accounting is because every day is different.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like I can come in and I'll be booked every half hour for the first 6 hours or whatever of the day, and every single person has something different. And to sit in every appointment and, you know, have to recall every aspect of the tax code or estate planning or whatever, and it's a lot. But
it's a lot of details to remember. I don't know if I'd be very good at that. Like, well, I guess I am, because I kind of do it the same. But
sounds like
I'm looking at it from I'm super ignorant to taxes, so I know I wouldn't be good from that aspect. Like, I know I ask you the stupidest questions. I'm sure you roll your eyes at me all the time whenever I'm asking you stuff, but I'm so ignorant. I'm so ignorant with taxes. I'm like, I don't know. Tell me what I need to do, Nate.
Too, like when things change so often, like we just got President Trump's big, beautiful bill, and we're going through continuing education right now just to try and understand it so we can apply that towards clients. And so everything that we were using from the last tax bill, gone, and we have to replace that with all this new knowledge and make sure that we're up to speed. And
that is what is so insane to me about taxes. Is every single year it seems like they give you a whole new set of rules, and everything you knew last year, throw it out. This is how you do your taxes this year. And the crazy thing is that, like, it's like the government expects the normal person to figure that out on not on their own, but
kinda
because
really
you have to file your taxes,
right?
And if you don't do it wrong, like, you're in big trouble. And for most W-2 employees, like, there's really not a whole lot of change other than making sure your withholdings are correct, or that your standard deductions are there or whatever. Like 2020 during COVID was wild because I felt like we were getting new tax code and new whatever every like 3 or 4 months. So we were having to update and learn things. And then when we went to go file the 2020 tax returns in March of 21, they came out with a whole new tax act that was retroactive for 2021 that we had to start applying to all those tax returns that we had already filed and had yet to file. And I remember thinking then, like, what am I even doing? This is awful. Like, yeah, but it is pretty rewarding though. You know, just being able to, one of my favorite things is every year, like when these families come in to see me, and when they first come, they're like a new married couple. And then a year or two later, all of a sudden they've got a kid. And then all of a sudden that kid's as tall as I am. And like, it's really cool just being a part of someone's life, even though a lot of times it's just once a year. But it'd be like, you know, so much has changed and so much can change. But also to be the one that they know that if something goes down during that year, you know, call Nate. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah. You mentioned one of the reasons why you like what you do is because it's, you know, it's right. There's right and they're wrong. But in my eyes, I feel like there's a lot of gray area in taxes. Is that not the case? Like, is that just because everyone like, I'm not talking to a bunch of CPAs. I'm talking to individuals that aren't really understanding it either. So, you know, is it more cut and dry than?
I think at times there can be gray area. But in reality, like there's the tax code, there's court precedent, there's, you know, all of these IRS documents and pronouncements that it's not gray area. And so a lot of times what happens is you get someone that either isn't keeping up with the tax code, or, you know, they talk to someone and they interpret it to say one thing, even though there's legit court precedents against that. And so they'll just go off of whatever they think is gray area. Really, there's not gray area.
Yeah.
And if you get audited, the IRS is just going to go by
code
and court precedent. And if you're outside of that, then there's nothing you can do. And so it's really interesting, you know, like just seeing some of the things that have come through my office that have been filed
by other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure I've filed some awful returns too every once in a while. I mean, just it's bound to happen, miss things here or there, but I mean, really just seen some wild stuff. And when those audits go down, like they have to come see us since we're licensed, and we'll help out. And one lady had to pay back $18,000 just because of how loose that tax preparer was with deductions. And I was just like crossing my fingers that the IRS didn't look at the year before or after, because she would have had to pay back another $54,000.
Oh my gosh.
But when you think about that and you multiply that by the number of people that some of these preparers are preparing tax returns for, like the government's losing millions of dollars because there's preparers out there that are just making stuff up. And I'm not saying that you have to have a license or that everyone should have a license. Like there's some really good tax preparers that don't have licenses and whatever. And there's some in town that when things really got bad, they sent them to us and we stepped in and helped. But there's some that should probably be in prison from some of the stuff I've seen.
Right.
So.
And are they on so it's because again, the everyday person is extremely ignorant to it. Like, like myself. So when I go and I'm talking to someone like you, or even someone that's not licensed, but they're doing my taxes, I'm just going to assume they're being done right. You know what I mean? So who's on as far as obviously if it's wrong, I'm responsible for paying what I really owed. But if it got to the point of there being any type of legal action, does that person that I use to file my taxes, could they be held accountable for that? Or
they always look at the specifics of the court case.
Yeah.
Was it willful? Did they knowingly do this? If you're putting reliance in a tax preparer and they're doing all this stuff and they tell you it's okay and you think that they know what they're doing, chances are you're probably not going to go to prison. But I do think that I can think of one at least where the IRS is watching, and for almost every return that's getting filed, every preparer has an ID number, and the IRS is really good at, once they catch a return that's awful, then they can flag that preparer ID number, and then they start picking off all
finding a pattern. And
so
and I think the majority of the time when they are going to prison, it's very evident that it wasn't a mistake.
Yeah.
They did some type of fraudulent document. They knowingly did something. So that's, your everyday person isn't usually, they're not doing that. They're just wanting to save some money as much as they can.
Yeah.
I always appreciate a clean tax return, because a big part of our job is calculating people's income by using their taxable income that we see on the taxes. And sometimes we'll get returns that I'm like, how in the world did you look at this, or did your accountant look at this? And they were like, yep, that's good. I'm working with a guy right now that has 11 properties, and on his rental in his Schedule E, he has one property listed on there. And I'm like, how, and all of the rent that he gets from his 11 properties, they just lumped it together and put on that one address. And so it's like, look, dude, this is what you did, and because of that, we can't use all of that income, because that's not how it's not reported correctly. So he's all grumpy at me right now.
Yeah, and so they get mad at us, but we're like,
I understand you make this income, but look at your taxes. That's not reported.
But it doesn't make sense to them, because they're like, well, I just sent my taxes in,
my
and this is how they did it.
Lazy accountant. And
well, I've noticed you guys are always really good too about reaching out to us, if you have questions on stuff. And
I was gonna say, Lisa and Tanya are great to work with. They've always been wonderful.
They are. I would be in, and we got Amanda Howard. She's one of our accountants, and she's been with us for almost over 5 years now. Amanda came on right before my youngest was born, and so that's how I always remember how long Amanda's been there. But yeah, we try hard, but we always appreciate when loan officers will reach out with legit questions, because we have some that want me to write a letter that says, oh yeah, they're going to make, this much money or more for the rest of their life, so this loan's going to be,
this will be fine.
I don't know. I can't
Right.
say that.
Yeah.
And so if you ever get a letter from me, you'll notice that it's worded very specifically, and it's, very vaguely, according to tax law.
Yeah.
Right.
And because we can't guarantee that someone's business is going to keep doing well, but
which is my complaint about mortgages. I complain about this all the time. I understand why underwriting and loan regulation, everything, they there's no denying they're more strict on self-employed people. They just are. But in my eyes, I'm like, yeah, but even the W-2 employee, they're not guaranteed to have a job next year either, so it's frustrating, and it's frustrating for consumers because they're making the money. They should be able, I can make this payment. Why can't I get this house? Why are you going to make me continue to rent for twice as much, which I've been doing, so it's frustrating. It is.
And I remember actually back in like the 2000, 5, 6, I actually did mortgages for a while. And that was back when you could
stated income.
Yeah. You could make stuff up, and they're like, okay, we're going to charge you 10%, but
right,
we'll do it. But really, that's what led to the 2008 crisis.
Yep.
And
it was all your fault.
Yeah. Oh man.
And now you're doing taxes
for myself too. But really, that's how it was done.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's all business. But I do appreciate that there's a lot more regulation. I do. But yeah, it is hard, especially like if you get an underwriter that is real tough, or is not willing to listen. And but when that goes down, and if it involves one of our clients and they're having a hard time with it, I have no problem getting on a phone call or emailing in and be like,
let's work this out. Yeah.
Just to lay it down.
That's what I've noticed about our underwriters with Sierra Pacific is I haven't really ran into one yet that isn't willing to get on the phone and talk about things.
Yeah. I had a few of my very first loans, and I'm like, oh, great. This underwriter's tough, but it was just the loan.
Yeah, it was
just the loan.
Right. And sometimes if you run into one of those tough ones, we can usually, because it's individuals, right, and personalities, and sometimes if once they want to defend how they initially saw it, so they'll drive their heels in and really argue. But I mean, I've had times where, okay, let's get another underwriter, your supervisor to look at things, and they're like, yeah, you're right. They'll right. And then unfortunately they have egg on their face a little bit, but that's not our problem. So
yeah, I think you guys do a really good job of being advocates for your customer, and like sticking up for them. And I mean, I've seen you guys jump through a lot of hoops for your customers, and that doesn't go unnoticed.
Oh, we appreciate you noticing that, because I know there's lenders out there that, I mean, it's mostly your online lenders that everyone wants to use, that they're not going to jump through hoops. They're just going to move on to the next client. So it is nice being noticed for that.
Yeah. So are you guys happy that you made the jump? I'm happy you made the jump.
Yeah, we are.
Totally.
It's been really good. We have some complaints about things that we've decided that we would be having those complaints regardless of what company we ended up going with. But yeah, no, it's been really good.
Yeah, there were a lot of adjustments that we had to make, but there's been a big learning curve being the branch managers, but it's been great, like nothing but.
Yeah, and definitely a learning curve, but I wouldn't even say, I don't feel like I'm doing a lot more work because I'm a branch manager.
Right.
It's just you're just more involved with certain things that,
like compliance and stuff like that. Probably.
Yeah, it's good. Sierra Pacific's an awesome company. We're super happy with them. They've been super supportive, and one of the reasons why we went with them is because we made it clear to them, like, we want to run our branch how we think is the best way to run it, and so they've been very supportive in allowing us to do things how we want, and we're learning as we go too, and so it's been good. Yeah,
and a lot of other companies we laid out like this is how we want to do this and this and this, and some of the other companies would be like, nah, that's not how we do things. But
it's cool finding someone that'll work with you on that. Gila Valley is pretty different.
It's unique, very unique. Yeah.
I love it. But like a lot of the things that we need to do here, or that are, it's just how we do things here. It's not how they do it in other places.
With construction loans, that was something that they've gotten. But like the first construction loan that I did with a hard money lender, they're like, "What?" I'm like, "No, trust me, this is okay. We do it all the time." Yeah. But they weren't used to the having hard money lenders like we do here. But even now, like they've already adapted to that, and it's not an issue anymore. But I remember the very first one I did, they were asking for things. I was like, no, that doesn't exist. And we don't need it. I promise you. So yeah, the Gila Valley is very unique with stuff like that.
That's cool. I'm glad you guys made the jump.
Yeah.
So are we.
It's been great. You mentioned earlier the big beautiful bill. Can I ask you about that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are some changing pace a little bit here?
Yeah,
Sorry.
getting political. No.
No, not political. I just am wondering, like, what are some things someone like me should know about that or prepare for that could affect me when I do my taxes next year?
So there's a few things. Honestly, it's a big bill. The taxation side of it actually is not the main focus of that bill. Like, there's just a lot of stuff. But they did do a couple things where your standard deduction is going to be higher. Child tax credits are going to be a little higher. If you're an investor, things change. If you own a business, are you guys 1099 or W-2?
We're W-2.
If you own a business, there's a thing called a qualified business income deduction that has increased a little bit. They changed about depreciation. So if you're buying certain types of real estate, short-term rentals, multifamily properties, commercial, you can do up to 100% depreciation on a lot of things now, whereas before we were limited to 85% or so. So there's some things like that. They did some stuff as far as changing the taxation of tips, overtime, stuff like that.
And overtime too?
So I keep hearing stuff. I don't want to wade too deep in that because I haven't done all my CPE on it yet. I was thinking they were going to put some provisions in place for making Social Security tax-free, but they didn't do that.
That would be amazing. Then we could gross up all the
yeah, that's a big deal. When you think about it, like you literally are paying tax on that Social Security your whole life.
And then you get it back,
and then you get to
freaking pay taxes.
Then you have to pay tax on it again if you're over a certain threshold of income. And so I kind of think that's not fair, because when you look at retirement accounts, if you paid tax on money and then you invest that money in a Roth IRA, when you go to retire, that money's all tax-free. If you got a tax deduction up front and that money grew tax deferred over the life of the account and then you take it out, then it's taxable. You pay tax where you choose. But with Social Security, you pay tax on it and then you can pay tax on it again. And I think that's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe we'll have a follow-up podcast and I'll talk about the big, beautiful bill, and I'll go over that. I mean, it's big.
Yeah.
I hate how they do it like that. Just.
Well, and they had some stuff, not to get political, but like they had some stuff in there that it sounded like it was going to force the government to sell millions of acres of public land, which is awful. Like, why would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple other things too that kind of feels like it's meant as a shot to Elon Musk almost.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get an electric vehicle tax credit, you need to buy that vehicle by September. They got rid of that tax credit. If you want solar on a property, whether it's commercial or residential, you need to get that in place by the end of the year. Otherwise, those tax credits are gone.
So those tax credits completely gone.
Yeah.
That's
so like anything that Elon Musk is into.
Yeah.
Good luck, Elon.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. So
I've never really had the desire to put solar on my property anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
solar,
a whole other topic.
In my opinion, solar makes sense on commercial properties or like multifamily properties where you're paying for the utilities and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason for that is because you put the solar on there and then you can still take that solar tax credit, which is 30%. And then we can depreciate 85% of the purchase price of that property. And so by the time depreciation's done, you get 115% benefit for the money you put into that. Plus it's generating electricity for you. Whereas if you do it on your house, like if you don't pay for it outright in cash, sure, you don't have as much of a utility bill anymore, but you've got a solar bill.
Yeah.
And if you put solar on your property and you're anywhere covered by the co-op, they won't let you put enough solar on your house to make it worthwhile. So then you're paying electricity and you're paying your solar bill.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a hard lesson for a lot of people. Like the co-op is not the place to do solar.
Yeah.
Safford's awesome. Thatcher's awesome. Co-op is not awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and I look at it from the point of if you're financing the panels and then you're wanting to sell your house, I mean, a lot of times that can
it's a nightmare.
it
off,
can make it harder for people to get financing on the property. And so I'm not saying I'm opposed to having solar, obviously, but if I knew I was in my house for the rest of my life, I was never going to sell it, and then I'm not against solar, but
I've seen it kill deals.
Yeah.
Like somebody owes $40,000 on a solar panel system, in my mind, I'm like, man, that salesman made so much money on that, but nobody wants to assume that.
Yeah,
we've seen some awful deals come through. We saw one just down the street from one of the big solar companies out of Phoenix. Where first of all, they sold it to this lady that didn't even really have a full-time job. And then when they came, they installed it on the neighbor's house instead.
I heard about
What?
that.
And when they realized what they did, they took it off the neighbor's house and then installed it on the right one, but then left holes all over that roof.
Yeah.
What in the world?
But a lot of
I
times,
heard about this. Yeah.
Yeah, these solar companies that are coming in to the Gila Valley are like, some of them are awful. I've seen some terrible deals, but what they don't tell you, like a lot of times I'll have these financing options, but what they don't tell you is, that interest rate might look good, but
There's a $7,000 financing fee.
there's a 30% financing fee or more on the back end, so you're paying 30% or more for that system than you should
what it's
have
worth,
in the first place. So it is, and I say this, for a while I owned a solar company here in town, Eastern Arizona Solar. Some friends of mine and I owned that, and I mean they do great work,
Yeah.
and they're super honest with what they do with people. I think their installs are better than anyone else's because it's Gila Electric doing all the installs.
And I think that's just a testament of just be careful who you're doing business with.
Yeah.
Even if it's a good product, if you get in with the wrong company, it can turn into a bad experience.
Yeah.
So, and that goes across the board with everything.
And we talk about working with local people all the time. Who's going to take care of you better? Somebody that you're going to see every day, or somebody that is here for the weekend to install your solar panels,
and that's why
you'll never see again.
And that's why it's so important to consider more than just the price, because I guarantee you that's what happened to that lady. The salesman came and said, "Oh yeah, their interest rate is this. Here's ours," and they're not telling them all the the fine details.
It was a $70,000 system.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Bad news.
But
yeah, I mean I don't do the solar anymore.
Yeah.
I'm starting to realize that I don't have enough time, to be doing everything and still be a good dad and still, I'm trying to devote all of my time to my business and my family. And so anything that's outside of that at this point, like you said, my storage units, I'm selling everything that is taking me away from that stuff. And so, yeah.
So your main focus now is just family and Sorenson Financial. And then, I'm sorry, what's the other company name?
Insight. Yeah. Yeah. It took me a long time to realize that, 44 years, but I was trying so hard to build for my family and provide for them and build a legacy. We have a 4-year-old with autism. And so I just had like this desire to build, for him and my children. So when I'm not there, I can still provide for them. And I think that's great, but it was to the, detriment of my being a father. And so I'm trying to reel a lot of that stuff back in. Like I looked at being on boards and stuff, and my wife does a good job of reminding me that, being on a board doesn't pay. And so I'd be giving up my time for free away from my family to go be on this board. And I've been on like the United Way board. That was awesome. We did a lot of good for people. But at this stage of life, especially with little ones, and I mean, I know you guys both have little ones too, but like money's not everything. It can feel like it, but I just don't want to be an old guy someday and look back and be like, should have hung out with my kids more. I should have done something else. And my wife reminds me that I actually spend a lot of time with my kids. I feel bad a lot of times that I'm not there all the time, but like if I'm there all the time, then I'm not earning money, to pay for.
It's a balance for sure. Yeah.
So that's a cool thing. So good luck, fellas.
Yeah, thanks. Davis just had one 3 months ago.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, It's been great. She's a good baby.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so nice. That changes everything.
Yeah. It is. My wife and her cousin had babies 2 weeks apart, and we hear stories about her cousin's baby just nonstop crying, doesn't eat, and we're like, man, I'm okay waking up twice a night to feed this baby. It's not. But all day long, she's just a happy little.
And it goes so fast. I was talking with my 12-year-old last night about, when he was between kindergarten and second grade, I walked him to the gate at school almost every single day.
I saw you there.
And like up until middle of second grade, all of those days was holding his hand and just walking him to the gate and just be like, man, I love you so much. I am so proud of you. You're smart. You're a good friend. You're a good example. And, just trying to like pump him up to go to school. And we did that every day until he started third grade. And I remember his last day of school, like, it was hard on me. He had no idea what was going on. But just that long walk back to the car was just, you realize how fast things go at that moment. But Isaac and I would see each other almost every day. Have a good day, man.
Yeah,
you too. Hit him straight. This guy's always going to the golf course while I'm going to work.
That's not true. Sometimes, but yeah, no, I remember I've had those same thoughts of like, at what point, when was the last time that, my daughter is going to let me hold her hand all the way or give me a big old hug, so you got to take it in as much as you can. Yeah. Luckily they're still willing to do that for me. So, but when the school year starts and she's going to be in second grade and she might not like it as much, it's embarrassing to have to give your dad a big old kiss before you go to school.
Yeah.
And it goes so fast.
Only if you're the dad.
What?
Just you. Only if you're the dad.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's embarrassing to give Isaac
That was a dumb joke.
Yeah, I get it. Whatever, dude. Screw you.
So you guys work really well together. Obviously, I mean, you wouldn't be on billboards together if you didn't. But like, what's it like in your office? Like, because you both are pretty cool. Like, do you guys ever butt heads, or do you work, how does that relationship work?
I'll start. It is crazy how, like, how do I put this? How, I don't know if like-minded is, but we have the same goals. We are competitive against each other, which helps drive one another, and we actually do about the same amount of volume with regard to mortgages. And so I don't know, it's been a very, very great work relationship, surprisingly so. Like I was never like nervous about going into business with Isaac, but going into business with anybody is a little scary. So great question, but yeah, it's been surprisingly great.
I think we're both just so laid back that it doesn't, I mean, there is competition there, but honestly how we have it set up now is, because before it was different, me and Davis didn't own the branch, so it meant a little bit more if we were both talking to the same person, and because obviously we grew up together,
we're
so
in a lot of the same circles.
Yeah, we're in a ton of the same circles. We know all the same people, and so sometimes before, if someone was using me that Davis knew to, or also I'll put it the other way around. If someone used Davis, I'm like, I wonder why they went to Davis instead of me, and I was like, whatever. It wasn't a big deal, but it hurt maybe a little bit more because it directly affected my wallet. But now everything's just 50-50. So, and fortunately, that it would become a problem if Davis started doing way more than me, and I was just, golfing every single day, which for some reason people think that's the case, which he golfed this morning, not me. But so now, if we have a really good friend that we've both been talking to, and for whatever reason they use me or they use Davis, it doesn't really matter because of how we have it set up.
Yeah.
So it's been good. I've really enjoyed working with Davis. I mean, we've known each other our whole life, and definitely didn't think this was ever going to be the case. I mean, it was never the goal. It kind of just happened, and that's funny how life does that. Things just kind of come your way, and things turn out how they're supposed to. But now it's It's been going really good. And no, we don't really we don't butt heads, or I can't really think of any time that we haven't really seen eye to eye on anything.
You guys are pretty lucky, you know. Like, you think about all the people that are miserable in their job just because they don't like the people that they work with.
I didn't say I wasn't miserable.
He never said he liked me.
But like, what a blessing, you know, to enjoy the people you're around at work.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier about, like, when we were looking for a mortgage company, we gave them our conditions. One of those conditions was that we got to bring on our staff too, and that's been awesome too, because we brought in all of the loans at our previous company, and so when we decided to make the jump, we knew it was going to affect everybody on the team. And so that's why, you know, when we decided we were going to do it, we wanted to bring on.
We didn't want to be the reason that, you know, 3 or 4 other people didn't have a job. Right. Yeah. So yeah, we were very clear with the companies we were talking to that this is who we were wanting to bring over to us. And it was kind of scary, you know, making that jump to where now they're reliant on us, really. But we kind of thought about it and we're like, they already are. You know, it's our production that is keeping things afloat anyways. So it really wasn't that hard of it wasn't that scary of a decision to make.
Yeah.
And it's been good. I think it's just going to keep getting better too.
Good. You guys, how hopeful are you guys, or are you expecting rates to go down, you know, in the next 3 to 6 months? I thought they were going to be down by now.
Me too.
I remember telling people 2 years ago, yeah, you buy right now and then probably a year you refinance. But now I really feel like there have been almost like commitments made to where they're going to do some rate cuts.
Well, I think President Trump's putting a lot of pressure, which
it's Trump that wants to.
In a way, it's not right. I think, you know, because those guys have a job, and there's economics in there that I'm sure a lot of people don't understand. But man, how nice would that be if all of a sudden you could write a loan for 5%, or even 5.5%?
If they get into the 5s without people having to throw a bunch of money towards the rate, then I'll be happy.
I remember when I was doing stuff related to mortgages, I remember when they hit 5.25 and people were losing their minds. Like, people could not refinance fast enough.
Yeah.
It was, you know, it was a big deal. And then to have, you know, years ago when we could refinance a mortgage at 2.5 or whatever.
That was insane.
But now, like, I never want to sell my house. I never want to move because, you know, the numbers don't make sense to me. And
I will say it is a little scary, rates coming down. It is a little scary for a place like this because we talked about the Gila Valley being unique. One of the unique things about the Gila Valley is we've got a mine that has so many positions that aren't filled, and we have a huge demand for housing, and the rest of the country is seeing a bit of a slowdown in the real estate industry and mortgage industry, but here we haven't slowed down. So rates come down,
there's not going to be houses to buy.
There's not going to be houses to buy, and I'm just afraid it's going to drive up prices even more. I mean, I'm not saying I don't want rates to go down, because
refinances will be fantastic.
But yeah, I mean, it is, you know, people don't think about that in our area. It could have a negative effect.
I agree. I think prices will go up as soon as they come down, as soon as the rates come down.
Continue to go up.
Yeah, keep going up.
They haven't stopped going up for the last 5 years. It's been pretty crazy.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
I mean, we look at it from the mortgage perspective, but
we look at interest rates related to investments,
right?
Related to bonds, related to the stock market, and so with rising interest rates, that's why the market was so bad for bonds back in 2022. You know, because there's like an inverse relationship, and so as rates go up, bonds go down, and so these bonds were losing 15%. You know, if you're in these bond mutual funds and stuff, and it was a bloodbath. There was nowhere to hide unless you just wanted to go straight to cash.
Yeah.
And so that's how we look at interest rates. But as they reduce interest rates, then that spurs the economy stock market does well, so I think it would be good. There are going to be some changes related to banking. They're going to be loosening up some of the restrictions with banks. That's why you saw like JP Morgan had a pretty good week, just because if rates come down, they get money cheaper, but they're not required to hold on to as much cash and have all these restrictions that they put in place back in 2008 when some of those banks were failing, which is kind of crazy, because just 2 years ago we had some of these smaller banks failing, even with all these current regulations. And so that makes me a little nervous. But for big banks, Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, they're going to kill it. They're going to make a ton of money. So I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Unless they get robbed like they did yesterday.
Oh.
That was
Can you
crazy.
imagine robbing someone in Safford?
Well, he came. He's like, I can rob this small town.
Yeah.
Like, out there. Do they know where the guy's from? I know they caught him,
Yeah.
but have they come out with anything
Yeah,
else?
I just saw that one article.
Like, man.
I was shocked he was caught already.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I automatically put myself like, I could get away with it.
Yeah, I could.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
do you guys ever play that game?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I was going through college, I worked at the credit union, 1AZ Credit Union. I worked for them up in Flagstaff, and our branch was right next to NAU where I went to school, and we got robbed once. And I remember always thinking, dude, this is the place to rob, because you just literally across the street, thousands of kids in backpacks, and if you came in, robbed it, walked across the street with your backpack on and a hood on, you blend right in and nobody knows where you're at. I'm like, dude, you could kill it, and which is funny to think about.
Did they catch the guy that robbed you?
Yeah, they caught him. He went to the bus stop, the Greyhound bus stop. He was just passing through. Luckily, they had him on warrants from the Midwest as well, so he was in deep trouble. But
See, and that's what I have going for me, is no one would ever expect it, because I got a clean record.
that's why I like.
Here's my thought is it probably would be. This is. I'm not giving anybody advice or anything, but it probably would be pretty easy to rob a bank. But the people that are crazy enough to do it are not the sharpest.
They're not the
Yeah,
sharpest.
they're
Yeah.
like desperate, or
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. I like watching shows like Ozark, and stuff like that. Like seeing how they launder money, and I'm like, I would be terrific at that. And I would be the last person someone would expect.
Yeah.
The white CPA religious guy. I would make a killing. And
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Bandits? With it's with Bruce Willis and Billy Bob Thornton.
No.
Dude, it's a good movie.
Is it?
Go watch that movie.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, it's so how they did it was they would go the night before and kidnap the bank manager and his family. So they'd go and stay at his house, and then they'd go in and rob the bank before it was ever open. So in the morning beforehand. And it's a funny movie. It's a comedy, but
that's
it's
actually pretty smart.
it's a good movie.
They did. There is a movie that was loosely based on my life.
Nacho Libre?
Actually, no, the accountant.
The accountant. Yeah.
And the accountant too.
I haven't seen the second one.
I don't know if I've
no
watched
spoilers.
either of those.
Dude, I actually really like them.
I love the first one.
I kind of had the bar with, like, I didn't think it was going to be good, and then I watched it, and first of all, one of the opening scenes, he's sitting there and he's doing taxes for someone, and he's like, do you have a home office? Do you have this? And he's like, and like, is it 100% correct? No.
Wait, who's the actor on this
Ben
one?
Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
Okay.
My thought was, because I heard Ben Affleck a little bit on the spectrum, I was like, is he really going to sell this to me? But it's
Anyway,
sorry.
But it's really interesting, like watching him do like all this forensic accounting and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's brilliant. Like, good for him for catching that like it was a real thing. I'm like, damn, that was awesome. But then the second one, it dives a little bit more into his autism and stuff, and so my wife actually enjoyed it, because with our little one, she's like, oh yeah, and she really liked that. And then he's got a brother, I've got a brother. So yeah, it was loosely based on my life.
Did you get any type of kickback or
I
warranties?
I
or
own
anything?
guns. I'm fairly intimidating.
The only movie that I know of that has anything to do with mortgage related or mortgages is The Big Short.
Yeah, that
and,
was a good.
And that one
That's a
just
great
makes
movie.
everyone in our profession look like absolute
Like
tools.
scumbags,
Yeah.
yeah.
So not.
That's such a good movie, though.
Yeah, it is a good movie.
Yeah, when I think about accounting, I always think about Parks and Rec and
Yeah.
Ben and how
Ben.
they
Or
like
or
worship him.
The
in
Office and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's funny when people that knew me as a teenager find out that I'm an accountant, especially like my old math teachers. You know, Ray Orr was pretty skeptical.
Is he a client yet?
It's funny. I never thought I'd be an accountant, but really when I look back at it, like I've loved business my whole life. I used to start businesses as a kid, and I used to I would earn all this money and I'd have to like find ways to protect it because my older brother would just steal everything I had. And so like I remember going into our library and I found one of the encyclopedias when they used to have one of those, and I was like, dude, my brother, not in a million years will he ever look in an encyclopedia. And so I remember going in and then I traced out, a dollar bill in the book, and then I cut out like 50 pages and I would hide all of my money in there.
Took a page right out of Andy Dufresne's book.
Basically, yeah. And a while back, I had forgot about it, and then I was sitting in my parents' playroom, and I looked up on the shelf, and there's like all these encyclopedias, and I'm like, which one was it? Like, and I remember I was very I planned it out. I'm like, he will never look in the queues or whatever, and he never did.
It was there?
No, it wasn't there.
Oh.
But so yeah, I've always been into that kind of stuff, but it's cool. But yeah, I'm glad you guys had me come on though.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been pleasure. Always a pleasure to get to sit and chat with you.
It's always fun talking to Nate.
Yeah.
For sure.
And you guys do good. It's fun seeing you guys. I mean, I've known Isaac since he was a teenager, and so it's fun being around people, and you get to that point where like everyone's just buddies. Like it doesn't matter that I'm like 20 years older or whatever.
I don't know.
Like
the first
that
time
is what I love about post-college adulthood. Like some of our best friends that we hang out with often are 15 years older than us, and it's like not.
I don't think people realize how old I am, because I do have a 4-year-old, and then they find out and they're like, oh, you're actually pretty old.
I think my first memory of Nate, I think we were all over at Jessica's grandma's house or something. We were all over there by the middle school. We were all over there hanging out, watching a movie or something, and Nate came in and he was just making us all laugh. I couldn't even tell you exactly what he's doing. I'm pretty sure he sat on someone's head and might have farted. Yeah.
But I did that to a few adjustments. And it was usually the ones that like I had heard, that guy was being a jerk.
Uh-huh.
And so I see him like, that guy's in trouble. Because like I've been in Jessica's life since she was young, and and so whenever I'd get the chance to humiliate one of the boys that made her life miserable, 100% would do it. Or we'd do Fear Factor. And I'd make everyone just like do the wildest stuff. Like, it was so fun. But it's
good
like,
times.
When I was coming down from Flagstaff, all of a sudden I'd get a call like Jessica saying, "Oh, we're gonna have a party at Grandma's house. Can you come?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I can come. Let's do this." And I would come and just like, it'd make my mother-in-law so nervous. Because I'm having kids like eat a gigantic serving spoon full of mayonnaise, or like, drinking a gallon of milk, or
I remember that one.
Yeah, it's just some wild stuff, but it was cool
Good
though.
times.
Yeah.
Well, we had a lot of fun.
Man, yeah, this is fun. I think we should have a follow-up sometime. I want to hear more about.
And congrats on the new building. It looks amazing.
Yeah, I was
it
going to
looks
say
super good.
I wanted to mention, I think Randy Bryce put it best. He was like, "Thank you for making the outside look as good as the inside." It looks awesome.
It looks really good.
It definitely upgrades the Main Street in Thatcher. So
I appreciate that. My Doug Griffin drew the plans. It was his idea to change the shape of it, and then my wife, she's so good with that stuff, and she picked all the materials and stuff, and then we used Brian Hughes with Hughes Custom, and man, those guys,
they did ours too.
They're incredible.
They did. Brian's awesome.
Yeah.
just head and shoulders above.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know,
And he's
so.
fast too. Like he when we were getting our office put together, he's like, oh yeah, 3 months, and we were thinking it's going to be a year before in this office, and sure enough, 3 months, and we were in the office.
He told us April, and I was like, I'll be happy if we're in by July. I
Yeah.
remember specifically saying that,
Yeah.
and he hit it right on the head.
Well, and he's such a perfectionist that it was just a pleasure dealing with someone. You know, I've had situations in the past where I had to be the one that called like, hey, this doesn't look right. Hey,
Yeah.
this doesn't, like, can you come fix this? Or a lot of times I'm such a people pleaser that I'll fix it myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Brian, I never had to do that.
Yeah.
You know, he was awesome. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys have to come visit sometime and
Definitely got to check
show
out
you-
the simulator.
show you the place.
Yeah, we'll come by. It'll be nice, that building that's going up across the street too, across the highway.
Yeah,
that whole area is gonna look
Yeah.
a lot better than the Red Lamp Trailer
Oh,
Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're redoing the highway. That'll be nice.
Thank goodness.
But that credit union's really good.
Yeah.
Like they've helped out a lot of clients. But then having Culver's right there,
Is it happening? I heard no.
it's gonna happen.
Oh, I heard somebody
I mean-
squash that deal.
No, like it's gone through the town. We talked about it at planning and zoning.
Yeah, we need another burger place.
Well, hopefully they
So-
put like a crappy one out of place. You
Yeah.
know, like
Right.
What's going on at
Well,
Burger
yeah,
King?
I was gonna-
Do you,
they're just
anyone
a
know?
Hold on,
remodel.
let's wrap
They're
this
just
up and then
remodeling
we'll-
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nate,
Thanks, Nate,
so
for.
much. Where can people find you?
We're on the highway, pretty close to La Casita, my favorite Mexican food joint.
Is that why
Shout
you
out
picked that
La Casita.
location?
Yeah, actually, I'm hoping that they have a Nate special to be right up there with the
You
Marge
deserve it,
and
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But we're right on the highway in Thatcher. Pretty easy to find now that we're in the old Tony's.
Do you have
Kitchen.
social medias that for the business that you want?
We do. It's not impressive.
Yeah.
We'll still tag you on there. Okay.
But actually, if you look up Insight Wealth Management, like there's actually Sydney does a great job of posting like insightful like
Cool. Yeah.
things that actually would help you in your everyday life.
Okay. Awesome.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks, Nate.
man.
Yeah.
Like Gucci.